Dr. Calvin Mackie. Thank you for joining us in another exciting STEM talk. I'm really excited because a few years ago, I had the pleasure of hearing you speak for the first time. And not only did you inspire me, you inspired my family, my children, my husband, to really believe in the kind of work that we've been doing. I don't want to share too much of your story because you're going to share that with us, but I do want to say that at a very young age, you were already a professor, you were an inventor, you have a couple of degrees from a prestigious college, and also a product of a historically Black college and university, which really can show to our youth that it doesn't really matter where you start your education, that you can accomplish anything you want with pure desire and determination. And so thank you for that. And I know now you do your life's work, something that you really believe in doing and giving to our community. So thank you for that. And with that, I turn it over to you, Dr. Calvin Mackie.
Thank you. Thank you, my friend Raphael. It's always great when I'm in your presence. Thank you for being who you are and all that you've done over your life. I am because of you, because you poured into me for years. And from the bottom of my heart, I want to say thank you. I also want to say thank you to SEER National for the work that you do, and your CEO, Ignacio Salazar, for leading that organization and touching communities across America and across the globe. The work that we do is the solutions that we need right now. To the people on the webinar, I want to say hello. My name is Calvin Mackie, and I'm from Blackertown, Gerttown, Zion City. I'm from the Lord 9, where we don't mind dying. I'm from the Wild Magnolia. I thought I told you. I'm from the CP3. You know me. What that means is that I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana, and I started from the bottom, and now I am here. When I look at my life, and I look at my life's work, and I look at where I am and my station in life, many people know that it is almost a miracle that I would be doing some of the things that I was doing. When you look at the turmoil that's taking over the streets of New Orleans, the streets of America, right now, we're fighting racial unrest and a pandemic all at the same time. And I'm here today to let you know that in the 21st century, we're only gonna have 3 options. Our children only gonna have 3 options. And that's to take something, break something, and or make something. And if organizations like SEER and the work that I do are not allowed to permeate into communities that we work in, that will only leave our children with the 2 options that they see on the news at night, and that's taking and breaking. But people like us are committed to making sure that our children can do the things that they want to do in the 21st century. And that is to make a life, to make a living, and more importantly, to make a difference. When we give them the skills and the education and the inspiration and the motivation, they know it's not where they're born, but they know they can go anywhere around the world and do the things that they want to do. Just a little bit about me. I grew up in a house with no books. My father dropped out of school in the 8th grade to pick cotton. My mother went to a state-approved Negro high school. When I came out of high school, I had an SAT score so low that he put me in remedial reading and developmental mathematics. And the more and more I argued about the fact that I shouldn't be in those courses and they heard me speak, it made me take public speaking and speech too. So my first year in college, I tell a story about how I was in a basement of a building with 8th graders. And Morehouse College took me and put me in front of a computer where every day they would let the words go by faster and faster and faster. And every day I read and I read and I read. But thank goodness, a place like Morehouse College, a historically Black college in Atlanta, believed in a thing called hope. And hope is that little voice in your head that whispers maybe when the whole world is screaming no. And I don't know about you, my whole life I thought my name was no. Can I go to your school? No. Can I work over there? No. Can I do this? No. Do you believe I can be a doctor? No. I remember the young women, I used to ask them, may I have your phone number? You know what they told me? No. But Morehouse told me yes. And SEER National telling people yes. And every day on the wall at Morehouse, there was a quote that said, when you find out you're behind in a race of life, you got 2 choices, run faster or quit. And SEER, every day I got up and I ran and I ran and I ran. Every day I went down to the basement of that building and I read and I read and I read. And my friends laughed and they laughed and they laughed. But after 3.5 years, after starting that college in remedial reading and developmental mathematics, I finished Morehouse College #1 in mathematics, #5 in the largest class that Morehouse ever graduated, magna cum laude, Phi Beta Kappa. When Morehouse asked me, they said, what are you gonna do now? I said, I'm going to Georgia Tech. It's only a mile and a half away and a $1.50 bus ride. 2 weeks later, I started Georgia Tech, the school that wouldn't even give me an application when I was coming out of high school. 18 months later, I finished my second undergraduate degree. 2 years after that, I finished my master's in mechanical engineering. And 4 years after that, in 1996, I received a PhD in mechanical engineering, achieving 4 STEM degrees in 11 years after being told that I wasn't even college material. And I tell that story to let you know that each and every one of us been impregnated with something so great, such that if we get up and work hard and do what we're supposed to do every day, it'll make Bill Gates look like a midget in the annals of history. I want Sear National to know there's not a wall big enough. There's not a man big enough. There's no institution in this country big enough to stop us from achieving that which God has impregnated us to do if we are committed to it. And that's why I get up and do the work that I do. That's why I get up and try to breathe hope into every kid that I come across, because I know from my daddy, who's that roofer, he told me there was 3 things that I need in life. He said, the first thing you need, son, is a skill set. In the 21st century, we got to have skills to pay the bills. And everybody think that's get a skill, and we do need skills. But the man and woman who knows how will forever have a job, but the man and woman who knows why will forever be their boss. So when getting a skill, we got to know the why. I was a professor at Tulane University, the first and only African-American ever tenured in the College of Engineering at Tulane University. In the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, my family lost 29 houses. I watched my mama die in my daddy's house in 1994, but in the aftermath of Katrina, I watched my daddy die in my house. I never forget going to work. And Tulane University made a decision in the aftermath of the greatest engineering disaster that still to this day is unbelievable. Tulane University decided to keep the football team to eliminate the engineering program. And I lost a 6-figure job overnight. And I'll never forget when I came home and I had 8 people living in my house. And my dad was one of them. My dad had been diagnosed with level 2 lung cancer. And he was in the corner on an oxygen machine. My daddy always told me that I should get up every day and do the things that I want to do, because there's no man or woman ever that'll take care of you for the rest of your life. And I had to come home and look at my wife's eyes, and I had to come home and look in my son's eyes, and look at my brothers and sisters' eyes that was living in my house. And thank God I had the skills. Thank God I had these 4 STEM degrees such that I can get up and go do the things necessary, such that I never had to depend on another man, another woman, another government to do for me and mine what we otherwise can do for ourselves. And yes, that is the American dream. I never forget when I was a professor at Tulane, and I studied hydrodynamic stability. That's how water become unstable, or water becomes stable. And one day this guy called me, and he said, come over to my business. One of my pipes making a sound. And Raphael, I went over to the business, and when I walked into the business, the pipe was thumping. Thump, thump, thump. I put my hand on the pipe. Thump, thump. He said, what's the problem? I said, I think you have a hydrodynamic stability problem. He said, that's why I called you, fix it. I said, thank you. I went out to my truck and I got my tools. And I came back in and I hit it with my hammer. Bam! And the tube went smooth. The pipe went, That's engineering 101. Hit it with a hammer first. If that doesn't work, then you read the directions. He said, thank you, man. You fixed my pipe. I said, definitely. He said, charge me. I said, I'm definitely going to charge you. I went back to my office and I typed up an invoice and I faxed it to him. Boom. When he got the invoice, he read the invoice, he picked up the phone and he called me. He said, man, you must be out of your mind if you think I'm going to pay you $200 fitting a pipe with a hammer. I said, well, you must be wanting me to break it down. He said, well, break it down. I said, well, let it be broken. I redid the invoice, faxed it to him. Wham. When he got the invoice read $2 for the hammer, $198 for knowing where to hit it. My point to you today is the man and woman who knows how will forever have a job. The man and woman who knows why will forever be their boss. So the skill set is not enough. That's the how. So we have to go even further than getting the skill set so we can know the why. The next thing to knowing the why is assets. After you get you some skill sets, get you some. And a lot of times you think the assets are the, is money and the cars and the houses. No, those are trinkets. Assets are the people in your life. The asset in my life is Rafaela Swan. When I met her, I could still call her. You collect people. They say that if you want to know how you get to the place where you are today, look at the 5 people you hung out with 5 years ago. If you want to know where you're going in the next 5 years, look at the 5 people that you're hanging out with right now. Your crowd really does dictate your place and station where you may be going in life. If you're the smartest person in your crowd, then you need to get you a new crowd. I want to hang out with people who can feel me, who can pour into me, who can teach me, who can show me, who can direct me, who can help me become better. And that's why assets is so important, and they must go along with skill sets. But even though we get skill sets, and even though we get assets, the most important thing that we must have, and the reason why we're here today, and the reason why even in a pandemic, organizations like SEER has made sure that they can still reach out to you, because at the end of the day, we know that you can have the skill sets, we know that you can have the assets, but if you don't have the right mindset, all is lost. We have to make sure that our mind is prepared to take on the challenges of the 21st century. We have to make sure that we have confidence. We have to make sure that we have the self-esteem. We have to make sure that we believe in our abilities and get up every day and do the things necessary so that no man, no woman, no government can ever stand before us. I was taught that education is not the filling of a bucket, but it's the lighting of a fire. When you get educated, you're supposed to be on fire. And they asked Don King, they said, Don King, what is success? And Don King said, success is setting yourself on fire and watching the world show up to watch you burn. And I'm not talking about looting. I'm not talking about being an arsonist. I'm talking about getting up every day with so much passion, with so much energy. When you're walking down the street, the world will look at you and say, that young lady right there is on fire. That young man right there is on fire. And they have no other choice but to support you because they know that you're going to make it with them or without them. And that's what happened to me. Even when I lost my 6-figure job at Tulane with 8 people living in my house, even though my entire family was wondering, what is he going to do now? The passion and fire inside of me would not allow me to stop. And there's nothing in this world that you should allow you to stop. We need you all to keep going. We need you all to know that water at 210 degrees has no power at all. But water at 212 degrees produces enough steam to push ships around the world. We need you all to get on fire. And in closing, I want you all to know, I love what I do. I love the fact that I can get up and help people. The other day I posted, they said, Mackie, what is your profession? I said, my profession is service. That's all I wanted to do. And as an engineering faculty member, I got my PhD and I wanted to become an engineer professor because I thought then I was going to be able to help people. And I said I was going to write a book called Kicked Out by Faith because, I achieved everything that I wanted and maybe I just didn't listen to God. And when God kicked me out of Tulane, then I was able to listen to God and listen to myself and say, you know what, I'm going to do what it is that I think I've been called to do. And now I run an organization called STEM NOLA, and we've engaged over 40,000 kids and 10,000 families. We've put over $700,000 in the hands of college students that we hire as college interns. And even right now, I have over 200 kids on webinars right now in virtual STEM camps. And that's all I wanted to do. Because at the end of the day, I realized this thing is about people. Even Cesar Chavez said the fight was never about the grapes and the lettuce. It was always about the people. And if we focus on the people, we'll understand why people are taken to the streets right now because they're saying enough is enough. And that's why we need more people in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, because in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, enough is enough. And we got to claim our rightful place in all those areas. We got to have our pictures on the walls, our names on the walls. We got to be on the next rocket ship going to the moon. We got to be the ones changing the universe for our children. And I hope you believe that, because I don't only believe it, I know it, because I have actually lived it, and I'm gonna work every day to make sure that people like you can do it too. And a little secret, my younger brother, in 1994, I told you I watched my mother die in my daddy's house. Now, I'll never forget, me and my younger brother fought like cats and dogs. He was in middle school. And we fought till my knuckles was bloody, his lips was bloody, and he was crying because We stood there together and watched the undertaker come into the house and move our mother's body. And right then and there, I told him, look, your mother has given you all that you need to grow up and be what you want to be. And he said, man, it ain't fair. And I said, you can't be mad. The world ain't fair. You can't be mad that Michael Jordan got 3 children and you ain't one of them. You got to do the things that your mom and your dad has put within you. And me and him fought. And then he went on and he did and he studied and eventually went on to school and he eventually went on to other schools. And you may know his name. His name is Anthony Mackie. My younger brother is now Captain America. He's the Falcon in the Avengers. And I'll never forget, one day he was on The View. And he was on The View and Barbara Walters was interviewing him. And Barbara Walters asked him, Barbara Walters said, if you wasn't an actor, what would you be? He said, I would be a boring engineer like my brother in New Orleans. I was like, what? And I just grabbed the phone and I started texting him. And I started texting him. And I started texting him. And about 2 hours later, he answered the phone. He said, what's up, bro? I said, bro, forget you, man, bro. He said, what's wrong? I said, I heard what you told that lady on the show. He said, what you talking about? I said, Barbara Walters asked you, if you wasn't an actor, what would you be? And you said you would be a boring engineer like your brother in New Orleans. I said, first and foremost, I'm not boring. You know that, I'm not boring. And furthermore, engineering is not boring. It's just that you can't handle it. That's why you hate them. He said, no, man, I didn't mean it like that. I said, yeah, you meant it like that. But I said, let me tell you the right answer the next time somebody asks you that. I said, John Quincy Adams, the second president of these United States, when asked, why must you study war and politics? His response was, I must study war and politics such that my children can study science, technology, mathematics, naval architecture. And, he said, so that my children can study science, technology, engineering, naval architecture, and medicine, such that their children can study art, history, and culture. I said, boy, you better realize that you are an actor because your brother is an engineer. And everything that I've done, everything I've sacrificed, created a pathway such that you can get to dream and do the things that you wanted to do, like be an actor. And my challenge to all of you, my challenge to the executives, my challenge to the parents, my challenge to the students is to understand that sometimes we got to do things not because we want to do it. We got to do it because that is what needs to be done now, because our younger brothers, our younger sisters, our children yet unborn are dependent upon us to create a pathway for them. And I submit to you that my brother, Anthony Mackie, the Falcon, Captain America, is on Marvel Comics because his brother is an engineer and because his daddy got up with no education and picked cotton and was a roofer and went to work when he was sick and sacrificed so that his children can take advantage of the opportunities in a place called America. And that's my challenge to you. Let's get up and take advantage of all the opportunities before us. And I hope I've said something that otherwise resonate with you, because believe me, I'm filled with joy today because you all allowed me to pour into you. Raphael, I love you and thank you for having me.
Wow, now the people that are joining us can understand why we ask you to be with us. For that, thank you for that motivational talk with our community. I don't even know what to say. There's multiple things that I could look at and say, where do we go from here? We can talk about the commitment that you have for our community. I know you personally, so I can say, I know, for example, you have sponsored so many students. You have personally out of your own pocket given scholarships to students so they can go, not only your brother, which Anthony was able to take advantage of your sacrifice, but other students in our community where you have done that personally to help and impact our community. So we can go in the things that you've done with the community. We can go into STEM education and what it really does for our community. And it is important to say that, as you were saying some of the things you mentioned, I thought, gosh, no wonder, Kelvin and Sarah really need to work together. One of the firm beliefs that Ignacio has is people are our greatest resource. A little bit different than what you said, but exactly the same meaning. The people that we need to invest in is the people, our youth, to be able to have them and give them the opportunity. Education is the key, because nobody can take the education away from you, but not only get the education, but how can you give back to the community that has given so much to you? So I don't even know where to begin and to start asking you a couple of questions, but we've heard a little bit about you, a little bit of your background, but who motivated you, Calvin, to say, even though you were told no, who motivated you to say, Calvin Mackie can do it? I'm not going to take the no that people are saying it. I'm going to go for it, and I'm going to work and do what I want to do. What motivated you to continue doing that?
I had a big STEM event recently, and I was getting ready, and everybody was there. And this lady walked up and tapped me on my back, and I turned around. It was my third grade teacher, Sandra Carter. I often tell a story that Sandra Carter, she looked at me and she said, boy, you're going to learn, and I'm going to kill you. And I chose life. But it was called in the third grade that realized I had an aptitude for mathematics. And I did well in the third grade with her. And she would just put me in a corner. Now they have differentiation and all that. They call it something. But she just put me in a corner and she pushed me ahead in mathematics. In the fourth grade, I didn't have her. The teacher didn't push me ahead. So by the time I got to fifth grade, they had divided the class. I had her again. And I never forget how upset she was that I was in the same place where she left me in the third grade. And by the time I got out of fifth grade class, I was doing math like on a seventh grade level. But the changing point in my life was that when I finished elementary school, I wanted to go to the middle school where all my cousins had gone. And I wanted to go play basketball, smoke weed, do everything that my cousins had done. And she picked up the phone and called my mom and said, he shouldn't go there. He should go over there. My mom was like, that's way on the other side of town. And she explained to my mom why she thought I should go catch those two buses and go to that school. She convinced my mom that I had something. And to this day, that was a turning point in my life. And I bring that up because not only was Miss Carter played an important role there, but my mother did too. And that's why it's very important that we work together. You know, Booker T. Washington said we're separate as the fingers, but we're as whole as the hand. And I always wanted to be the Miss Carter in the community. I want to be the one that parents can come to when they don't know or didn't know or need advice. And I can say, call this one, go there, do this. Because if I'd have been left up to my own advice and my mom would have just did what she only knew, was to send her kids to the school where all my cousins had gone, I don't know if I'd be here today. So at every turn in my life, there were people like that. And that's why I say skill set assets, because still to this day, I keep in touch with Miss Carter. Still to this day, I keep in touch with you. Still to this day, when I got to Georgia Tech, I'm walking down a hall and I had a hat on my head. And this lady, beautiful lady, walked up to me and slapped the hat off my head. And I look at her like she's crazy. And she said, I know your mother taught you better. And then I realized, oh, yes, my mom did. And she's like, well, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm an undergrad. Make a long story short, her name was Dr. Carolyn Myers. She said, come in my office. She hired me as a worker in her lab. And I was the man then, because back then everybody didn't have a computer, everybody didn't have a printer. So here I am, an undergrad with a key to a lab, with a printer, so I can bring all the girls in the lab and let them print their work out. I was the man. But she convinced me that I can become a PhD. I mean, I couldn't even spell PhD. And she would not allow me to leave her lab. After I got my undergrad, she hired me as a master's student. After I got my master's, I said, I'm leaving. She said, no, you can do this. And still to this day, we keep in touch. So it was clear I had the skills. The difference have been the assets, the people. So from my daddy to my mom to Miss Carter to my coaches, it was the people that poured into me that got me to this point.
I will tell you that a couple of the people that are viewing you today or viewing us today haven't said questions, but I did get a comment that said, he's so amazing, such a positive man. So just know that this is the reason why we do this today, so people can get inspired, so people can get motivated, because just the same way that you and I and others can get motivated by each other, This is something that Sarah really believes. The other thing that I was going to mention as well is, you mentioned when you were going to school, you went to Morehouse. It's a historically Black college and university. We work with so many students all the time, and they come to us and ask, what school should I go to? And many of the times they think I should go to an MIT or a Stanford, the schools that sometimes they hear because they're Ivy Leagues. Why would you think someone should choose going to a Morehouse, a Harvard, a UTEP, instead of possibly going to a Stanford or an MIT?
It's funny. I'm thinking about one of my buddies, Jorge Gonzalez, Dr. Jorge Gonzalez, and he used to be a professor at University of Puerto Rico, Mayagüez. And when he got his doctorate, he went back to Mayagüez, and I was trying to finish my doctorate, so I would fly down to Puerto Rico and hang out with him all the time. And we used to have these conversations. And it's clear to me, I tell people all the time that I've been born 3 times in my life, through my mother, through my creator, and through Morehouse College. I am convinced that I would not be sitting here today as Dr. Calvin Mackie had I not gone to Morehouse College. Morehouse College dealt with my somebodyness. Education means that if you look at the root words of education and look at the Latin roots, it means to take out of darkness and bring into the light. Morehouse dealt with me as I was, where I was, and they dealt with my insecurities, my lack of confidence, and made me who I needed to be so I can go do what I need to do. In short, Raphael, is this: we are human beings before we are human doers. Many of the schools only worry about the fact about what we can do, not about who we are. Many of us fail at those schools because we're not sure about who we are, so it impacts what we can do. But once we are convinced of who we are, there isn't anything that we cannot do. So when I got to Morehouse, and it made me believe, I looked around, I saw people like me. It gave me books that made me read about me and understand my place in the world and my place in history and what I should be doing to make this a better society. So when I got to Georgia Tech, and when I came out of high school, I had an 840 SAT. Georgia Tech wouldn't even give me an application. When I got to Georgia Tech, I took everything Georgia Tech had to offer, and that was because of Morehouse. And I tell kids right now, it's not where you start. If you look at Malcolm Gladwell's book, he has a book called Outlines. Malcolm Gladwell said if these schools, these top schools are the best schools, then they should have a disproportionate number of students that graduated from those schools that get Nobel Prizes in the sciences and the chemistry. And when he went and he looked and did the research, he realized that that wasn't the case. And here's the thing, no one knows where genius is. Genius is wherever it is. And if you're a genius, you're gonna be a genius wherever you are. And if you're a genius and you meet the right asset, the right person, that person gonna put you on a path and help you to get to where you need to be. And that may be Georgia Tech for grad school, that may be Harvard, that may be MIT, that may be Stanford. But just think if you go to those places and you get eaten up because your being is not together, and you never get to a place where you can do. And that is personal to me because I have a 17-year-old. He got accepted into MIT summer camp this summer. He was at University of California, Irvine last summer. He's been to Purdue summer camp. And every day, we have these conversations about who are you? The 2 existential questions in the world is who am I and why am I here? If you're at an institution, they don't address those questions, then you shouldn't be there. Even for my own son, the schools that I'm pointing out to him are the schools that's committed to dealing with his somebodyness and help him understand who he is and why is he here.
And Kelvin, I think that's very important because so many of the times we see great people, but they're not grounded. They don't know who they are because they've gone to go for the school that people know, and nothing against it. I think it's great. It's awesome if you can combine a Morehouse and a Georgia Tech, a Morehouse and a Stanford, a Hampton University, and a MIT or a UTEP, and Berkeley. So there's opportunities for you to combine an institution that nurtures you, that teaches you who you are, and or maybe not teaches you, but helps you identify who you are, and show you that, and then go to the school that at the end of the day, people are going to call you because you graduated from Berkeley or MIT or Stanford. So you can combine those. And I think it's very important always for people to know who they are first, and then achieve the greatness that hopefully God has instilled for them to do that. So I have a couple of questions now coming in. So one of the questions is, how do you gently help people? And I want to hear your answer, because I always try to figure out how to do that better. How do you gently push people to go into a STEM education?
How do I gently do it? Well, first and foremost, I say I have two sons, and I have these big STEM events. One Saturday, we woke up, and I heard my wife, Tracy, telling my son, talk to your daddy, tell your daddy, tell your daddy. And I'm thinking, what do you want to tell me that he's going to go tell her and he's not telling me? And then I'm waiting, and he came in and said, Daddy, can I talk to you? I said, yes, son. He said, Daddy, I don't want to go to the STEM event today. I said, why? He said, Daddy, I don't want to be an engineer. And I realized right then and there that if Mr. STEM himself was losing his own son, then maybe the way I was selling this isn't the right way to sell it. So quickly I had to pivot, and I said, well, son, what would you want to be? He said, Daddy, I want to use my voice. I like to read, I like to speak. And lo and behold, now he had 2 movies come out this year. He's leaning away like my brother, and that's upsetting me, but I'm gonna let him go. And I said, well, know what you can do for STEM NOLA? He said, what? I said, you can be like the reporter. I said, you can make videos telling people what we do at STEM NOLA. So I said, you can be like the spokesperson, and his eyes lit up. And I started telling him about how STEM is not about making people into scientists or engineers. STEM is about helping you get the skills that you need for the 21st century, which is critical thinking, which is collaboration, which is communication, which is creativity. And I said, if you become a lawyer, and Lord help us if you become a politician, you're going to need all these skills. I said, if you're the roving reporter and someone is lying to you and you can pick it up quickly, I said, that's critical thinking. That's going to help you. And ever since then, he's been in a fold, he's been in a family. He's been writing about STEM NOLA. He's been speaking about STEM NOLA. I'm using his light today because he makes his little videos. And he's making these videos not knowing that he's getting more and more and more in depth in STEM. And that is important because in the 21st century, if you can look at technology, really with this pandemic is going to exacerbate the increase in automation and autonomous type machinery in our community. So really, all of our kids need to be STEM literate, not necessarily pursue a STEM career, but they need to be STEM literate regardless of the career that they're in. So how do we gently do it? We gently do it by introducing it in a way that they can digest it. Meaning that find out what it is that they like and then relate that to STEM. One more example, we were at a school, the principal said, look, I need something for my young women and their mothers. We're gonna have a mother-daughter day. Is there any engagement thing? So we came up and we're about to release a book called a STEM Spa Day, where we have 20 different activities where mothers and daughters can do cosmetic chemistry, make lip balm, facial scrubs, and they're making them with strawberries, avocado, and they rub them on each other's face, and they're laying there with a mask, not understanding really that they're doing STEM, and not understanding that really cosmetic is chemistry, and this is maybe something that turns them on. So we have found innovative ways to introduce people to STEM. And I'm sorry, but this question is very important. A lot of times when we advertise STEM now with kids, hell, I don't use the word STEM with kids. If you put up a sign, people say, come to our STEM event and learn about force and motion. Well, my STEM events, I say, come design, build, and race a car, and a winner gonna get $50. Every kid is in. Now, everybody want to teach something through drones. I have a 20 by 30 drone cage. I'll go into the hood, put the drone cage in the middle of the street. Kids come out flying drones. We begin to teach them about aviation and lift. I'll never forget one day the police came. The police was upset. He said, "Do you have a permit?" I said, "No, I don't, officer." And I said, "Have you ever flown a drone?" He said, "No." So he started flying a drone. 20 minutes later, the police forgot even why he was there. So in essence, we have to meet people where they are. And to meet them where they are, we have to spend time with them. We have to be able to speak their language and then feed them in a way that they can digest it at that point in time.
I agree. I think it's very important that we meet people in their time, in their area, so they know that we care about what they're doing and their concerns. I have a couple of other comments. I have one that says, "Thank you for continuing to encourage the youth in becoming engineers. I saw you speak at the 1998 NSBE a couple of years ago, and the talk was called Free Willy. I remember Free Willy. I have been an engineer my entire career. Thank you, Calvin Mackie." And so the other one that we have a question, it was kind of in line with the question you answered earlier, but this is a female scientist in atomic physics. And she says, "What is the most important thing that I can do to inspire youth to study and pursue STEM careers, in your opinion? I really want to make an impact."
Free Willy. That one is that brings a smile on my face. Free Willy. I believe the most important thing that you can do is make yourself available to people. We believe a high functioning community. People from around the world is coming, and when I say we've engaged 40,000 kids, we have these big events. And at these events, we have like 200 kids. We have another 100 to 150 parents, but we have another 150 STEM professionals and college students. So we may have upward every month, like 400 to 500 people in one gym doing STEM. And you can go to YouTube and Google STEM NOLA and videos, and you can see some of this. But the thought that got me there, and to answer this question, we believe a high functioning community. If you go to any high functioning community, if you study the Aztecs, if you go to Africa and study, the Akan people, and when society was highly structured, we believe a high functioning community is child-centered, adult-governed, elder-ruled. So in a high functioning community, everything that you do is through the lens of the kid. What is in the best interest of this kid? A lot of times we get confused and we start doing what's in our best interest, not understand that's not in the child's best interest. It's the adults in the community that really have to do the work. And the adult's supposed to free up the elder so that the elder have time to pour back into the youth. So in our high functioning STEM community, we focus on the K-12 kids. The college kids are our adults, and that's why we pay them. That's why we give them stipends, so they don't have to go to McDonald's or Cane's or work in the mall. They can come out and give the knowledge they have back to the community, and they can do it while at the same time learning. But then that free up the STEM professional to come and just be a STEM professional. In our programs, the STEM professionals not carrying boxes, they're not fixing tables. When they show up, we want them to be who they are. And then our little kids, our students, our K-12 kids, and even our college kids can look up, see, touch, and feel somebody that look like them that they can become. So I tell all of my friends who are professionals, and usually when we have these big degrees, we live out in the suburbs, we live out the community, and we are detached to a certain degree. And what we've done at STEM NOLA is that we've created a pathway to bring people home, bring them back and put them in communities where the kids who need them most can see, touch, and feel them, have access to them such that you can inspire them. And I say that because being an atomic physicist that you are, you have responsibilities. You may have your own family, you got your own job, you got bills. There's things that you need to do. So that's why it's very important for organizations like SEER and STEM NOLA to create these opportunities and other companies to sponsor it so we can create opportunities to bring you back and put you in a position so that these kids can touch and feel you and know that you're not something special or different. You are just like them.
You know, Kelvin.
To answer her, find a place to plug in. Wherever you are, find that place to plug in that's efficient and effective for you so those kids can touch and know you, get to know you.
Kelvin, I think we're getting a lot of questions that we might not get to all of them. So I do want to tell people to continue asking the questions. If we don't get to all of the questions today, we will commit Dr. Mackie to answering those questions, and we'll get back to you with an answer. This one, I am particularly would love to hear your take, because he has to, or they have a, and I just say he because that's the Latino culture we always talk about in the male sense, so it doesn't mean that it's a he. But they have two questions, and the ending is what really I want you to kind of explain a little bit more. They want to know, did you know what your path was going to be like, and did your path change over your career? But what they're saying is, they find it very hard with all the opportunities, what to do, and having low self-esteem is hard to make a decision. So how does a person that has low esteem, has lots of opportunities on deciding what to select for their career path?
I believe, I forget who it was, Henry Ford, I believe, said that if you believe you can, or you believe you can't, you're right. So, and it's self-agency thing is so important. And what I mean by self-agency, that is self-esteem. And one thing society does to people like us is that they work hard to strip us of our self-agency, believing, the American dream, this is the only place in the world that you can get up. America is supposedly the only place in the world where you can get up every day and create a better tomorrow for yourself. And I struggle with why so many of us don't get up every day and try to create a better world for ourselves. So my point to you is that you need small victories. And that is, find something that may interest you. And I don't care whatever the book is, read a page a night and then read 2 pages. If you're poor in math, it blows my mind how especially young men believe that if they do 10 push-ups a day in 30 days, they'll be stronger. But they don't believe that if they do 10 math problems a day in 30 days, there are no more mathematics. And it is the same thing. So self-esteem and self-agency is built over a period of time of you having small victories and believing in yourself. And that's why it's so important when kids are very small that we applaud them when they do something. When you see parents, when a kid is crawling, the first time a kid takes 2 or 3 steps, you would think the world has shifted because the parents go crazy. And we have to continue to support each other and applaud each other like that, because we never know where people are, what station they are in. So you have to have the right people around you, and going back to those assets. And when you have those little small victories, those people have to celebrate you. When those people celebrate you, and now get it now, if they don't celebrate you, you definitely have to celebrate yourself. I never forget, I had a roommate, and he used to hate it because I used to get in the mirror before I go take a test. And I say, who the man, who the man, who the man? And I go take the test, and I come back to my dormitory room, and I get back in the mirror, and I go, you the man, you the man, you the man. And my point is that if you can't build your own self up, then who else is gonna do it? And I would study all night. And why should I study all night to get up in the morning and believe that I was going to fail? So when I came back and I crushed the test, I looked in the mirror and confirmed my effort, my work to me. Start confirming yourself to you, and stop measuring yourself against other people. The problem with social media is that we get to see other people fake lives and then measure our real life versus their fake life. I wish the world was as successful as everybody on Instagram and Snapchat. I wish the world was as rich as everybody on Instagram and Snapchat. So get some good people around you and have them blow hope into you, but make sure you get up every day and do the work necessary. My promise to you is that if you put in the effort, you will begin to see results.
I think that's important. You mentioned again earlier something similar to what Ignacio and I often change when we're celebrating, and we say we're going to change the world. Now we know we're not going to change the world anytime soon, but we know and we celebrate every little accomplishment we make, knowing that it's going towards our ultimate goal in helping our communities. I have a Morehouse alumni that says, why is it that the total number of minority professionals in tech barely changed over the past 3 decades. What can we do to make that shift? How can we improve those numbers?
See, I was about to speak to that earlier when somebody asked me a question about human beings versus human doers. Many of the people in tech, many of the structural issues that we are dealing with today is because many of the people that are running these institutions, they haven't dealt with their somebodyness. It's all about their doing. So you look at somebody who created, let's say, a Facebook or Twitter, and I keep asking, when are they going to insert the soul? So if you just create a tool, if you look at somebody like, I can't think of the quote, but you got people out there that's creating technology that's absolutely destroying and destroying society. And if they don't have that humanity in them, then they become a part of the problem rather than a solution. So the things haven't changed in tech for the last 30 years because tech doesn't want it to change. A system produces that which it was created to produce, or we would change the system. So therefore, the number of minorities, Blacks and Hispanics graduating with computer science degrees is actually increasing, but yet still the companies and the systems are still not taking them in and hiring them in a way that they're supposed to be hiring them. So even if you look at the mathematics and you look at the systematic oppression of these systems, individuals can win, but as a group, the way things are set up, the group will never win. So we still fight, we still go get the degrees, and we still do the battles. But at the end of the day, my hope and belief is that we begin to believe and we begin to work to be the creator of these systems and these companies, such that we don't have to ask people permission that we one day can work for them. When we begin to do that, when we begin to believe that, when we begin to embrace entrepreneurship, and we begin to get the wealth that we need to challenge the system, or get the power that we need to challenge the system, that's how we begin to get change. And that's what we're seeing in the street right now. This is a precipice moment. This is a moment in time where the world, I believe, especially the United States, would never be the same. And we have to capitalize on it. The fact that somebody will say over 30 years in tech, nothing has changed, that's the frustration that people are feeling. There's an article yesterday in the New York Times that said corporate America has failed. Corporate America has failed America because those are the institutions. That's the wealth that sustains such systems. If those systems are going to change, it's the people running those institutions that's going to say we must have a better world and a different world from everybody. And I'm sorry I've taken a long time with this because this goes somewhere. I was a professor at Tulane for 12 years, the first and only African-American ever tenured in the history of the College of Engineering. Never in my life did I have a Black coworker. I never had a woman coworker. And that's why I'm saying I was kicked out by fate, because I had to show up every day and fight just to be me. And now I get up every day and I get to be me because I created an institution that mirrors the values that I want for society and for my children. And that's why we're here today, because that's what we want for all of you all. And that's what we got to work towards.
And you're so right. And with that, I want to make sure that we don't run out of time and share the video that will be kind of a little bit of a peek of what we, both Nola, you, Kelvin, and Sarah will be working on delivering the Community Day on November 20th. So Raul, can you play the video for us, please?
In order to truly compete within our global economy, the United States needs a highly skilled, uniquely qualified labor force to fill the jobs of the future. But are we grooming enough young Americans to fill these jobs? Educational opportunities in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, or STEM, can open up a world of possibilities for our children right here in the United States. One man has set out to inspire the young people in his community to become the next makers, creators, innovators, and problem solvers of the world's toughest questions, while showing them and his hometown of New Orleans, Louisiana, a pathway out of their struggles. STEM NOLA, founded by Dr. Calvin Mackie, works in tandem with community leaders, parents, STEM professionals, and college students to provide a once-per-month camp for kindergarten through 12th grade students, where they participate in fascinating and fun hands-on learning activities, exploring various facets of STEM. By inspiring, engaging, and exposing these children to concepts, people, and career paths within STEM, the likelihood of them pursuing degrees in STEM fields increases exponentially, having the potential to not only change their own lives, but radically transform their families, community, our nation, and the world. We have the talent right here in our own backyard. Will you too answer the call to become part of the solution? Log on to STEMNOLA.com for more information.
So Kelvin, I will say that, we have been discussing the opportunity of doing hands-on activities on November 20th by bringing both NOLA and SARE together to deliver this incredible first time ever Community Day virtual. Now we've had the Community Days in New Mexico, in Texas, in Midland, the Dallas, and we were gonna go to Houston this year and Chicago. But this will allow us to bring it in hopefully all 24 states where you can find a SARE affiliate or a SARE office. And so I would like to just kind of do an introduction, a little bit about the activities that you currently are doing, knowing that one of those activities are coming up on November 20th. So I would ask people to stay tuned to join our talks, because you'll be able to hear how to register, how to access the activities that we'll be sharing with the community, and more information to come every week. So both stay together on STEM Talk or join our website, NOLA, because I'm sure we're going to be jointly sharing the information with our community so they can join us on November 20th. But why don't you talk a little bit about some of the activities that the students can look forward to?
Great. Thank you, Rafaela. And I hope they're going to send you, each one of you all, that video, because it was kind of choppy. It's on YouTube, so I hope you'll watch it again to get the full effect. But at STEM NOLA, we've developed over 30 different modules to engage communities in STEM. We believe that STEM should be culturally and environmentally relevant, meaning that when I go outside, I should be able to see STEM. So we have force and motion kits where the kids build cars and race cars. We have a structure kit where kids actually build a Ferris wheel, and the Ferris wheel actually works. We have a physics of sound where they may build a speaker, and the speaker actually works. And the way it works is that you have 3 hours, you do an hour of activities to learn about the phenomena, the physics, or the science behind whatever you're doing. Then you spend 2 hours building the kit, and the kids keep the kits. We have a heart and circulation day where we've developed a mechanical heart that the kids build. They spend an hour dissecting a heart with medical professionals. We have a mechanical lung. We have a electric magnetic train. So we build things that otherwise relate to their everyday life. We have a circuit modular where they build a traffic light. That works. So that way, so many kids, so many people, parents now are saying, can we participate? Because they understand that they need to be literate, and the kids are learning things that otherwise they've never been exposed to. So we are steady building stuff. And now we're putting together standards, Common Core and next generation science standards, so teachers can use it in the class. One of the biggest problems we have is that teachers would come to our events, they would volunteer, and then all the directions would disappear. And it come to find out they was doing it in the schools. So I said, hey, man, we need to make it for the schools. And it's a great introductory pathway for anyone interested in trying to understand the world around them. And again, getting back to that question when somebody asked, how did you gently introduce it? That's the way you gently introduce it. Make it about the world around them, and they'll gravitate to it. And when I say STEM should be culturally and environmentally relevant, if you go to many schools and they do earth science, I mean, earth science is about volcanoes and earthquakes. Now, if I'm in Mexico City, that earth science makes sense. But if I'm in New Orleans, where we damn near just drowned from hurricanes, look like my earth science should be around levees and wetlands and flooding. So we built a module around levees, wetlands, and flooding and hurricane. So the kids, I mean, students should be able to see STEM all around them. And that's the way we partner with people and partner with affiliates and partner with corporations to make sure that kids understand the economy within their community.
Thank you for that. And everybody, please continue to join us on STEM Talk, so you'll hear more and more about this wonderful activity on November 12th, November 20th, that you can join us. Again, Kelvin, it has been a pleasure having you on STEM Talk. I think it's a great opportunity for our community to, if they hadn't met you, to meet you via WebEx, or also those, a friend of yours or alumni from Morehouse, to reconnect with another alum from Morehouse. And for that, thank you again. And we look forward to partnering and working with you in Community Day and possibly explore other opportunities.
Great. And thank you. Thank you for having me. And thank you all for the work that you do. Thank you to everyone who watched today. And tell other people, it is our responsibility to make sure that we give the good news to everybody and make sure that they know that there's somewhere where they can plug in to become informed about the 21st century. So again, thank you for having me. Believe me, I'm humble.
Welcome. Raul?
Wow, what a presentation. Very inspiring. Thank you, Dr. Mackie. Thank you, Rafaela. That was awesome. I wanted to listen more and more. We got a couple of comments. Dr. Fred Fuentes says, wow, powerful message. We have also Deidre Hill says, thank you, Dr. Mackie, and other people that also made comments. So thank you for your time. Sandra Cruz said, very inspiring video. And we have also from Megan Harrington, thank you. I feel really inspired and motivated now. So we had another great STEM talk. Again, thank you, Dr. Mackie. Again, thank you for everyone for joining us.